I walked with those 3 years, I hear this same voice behind me, correct? And look at what he said in verse 14.
His head and his hairs were white like wool and as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire.
Okay, let's stop there. Let's put this image back up of Serge Bourgeois. What they said was Jesus, because I call him Serge Bourgeois. I'm not going to call him Jesus. Let's look at Serge Bourgeois. Does his hair look like that? Now, my peoples clown me all the time about my hair turning gray and white. Look at my hair. Doesn't it look just like that description what John said here? I think John would know how he looked because he walked with him 3 years while he was alive. And he saw him in the spirit, and he's describing him fully here of how he looked. It don't look like this. Read verse 15.
Verse 15 says, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they were burned in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters.
Brass. See this color? Does that look like brass? Burning in the cold. Okay? So we see here that these images of what they had put up to be Jesus does not match the description that a man who walked with him, who is known as the apostles, is the writer of Revelations, who also seen him in the spirit after he rose. We see here that don't match. Right? So my question to you today is, if the people in the 1400s, because when you research Serge Bourgeois, this is when this began. He was the son of the Pope, a Catholic Pope, right? If these people decided to break what we know to be the third commandment and make a graven image of him, why didn't they use the description that's in Revelations from a man who actually walked with him on earth? Think about that for a second. Why didn't they use the actual image of a man who described him that walked with him while he was on earth and seen him in the spirit? Why did they decide to use Serge Bourgeois? Now, that's my first point. It's my second point for why we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Is everyone that says that they are a Christian or a follower of Christ is not one. Let's go to Matthew 22 and let's look at what Christ said true people of him look like and act like. Right? Matthew 22. Okay? And we're going to look at start at verse 36 there. Okay? Matthew, the 22nd chapter. And we're going to start here at verse 36.
Verse 36 says, Master, which is the great commandment in the law.
Okay? So the teachers came to him, the people and the Pharisees and the scribes were trying to kind of, you know how they did. They tried to catch Jesus off guard and tried to see what he did because they always accused him of not following Abraham and not following the law. So look at what his answer was and to this question. What is the great commandment? Read verse 37.
37 says, Jesus said unto them, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind.
Okay, verse 38.
This is the first and great commandment.
Okay, so Christ is telling us here that the first and the greatest commandment is to love thy God with all thy heart, all thy mind, all thy soul. Right? So when you love God, do you not love his creation? James the 3rd chapter in verse 9 tells us that with the same mouth we bless God and curse man who was made in the similitude of him. Goes down to verse 10. These things ought not to be. Right? So if the people, if the leaders of this country, America, which they claim to be one nation under God, if they were loving God with all their heart and all their mind and all their soul, how did they not love the Native Americans? How did they not love the people whom which they enslaved? Look at verse 39.
39 says, And the second is like unto it, Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
Whoa. So he says now, the second one is, that we're supposed to love thy neighbor as thyself. If I love my brother Jay, why would I take his wife and sell him to in another town? Now, this is the standards of what Christ said his followers would be. If I love thy neighbor as I love thyself, why would I go take your kid from you and sell him to somebody else? You never see him again. All right? Now this is the key. Look at verse 40.
Verse 40 says, on these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets.
Now, Christ is saying here that on these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. So he's telling us that by following these two commandments, we're following everything that's in the law and everything that was given to us by the prophets. So let's go to Exodus, the 21st chapter, excuse me. And let's look at what the law tells us about slavery. Right? Because when you begin to talk about how, our people were enslaved, the thing that they like to come back with is they like to say, hey, everybody served some form of servitude. But when you tell me any other person in this world, any other people in this world, took out by the millions to a world that they didn't know, made to be changed their name, changed their faith, changed everything about themselves. Do you know any other culture, any other group of people that was ever done to?
Yeah, one person that agreed with you. Clyde, Nathan, and nothing over there.
Okay. All right. Now, let's go to Exodus 21. Let's check this out. Now, we're going to see here in verse 1, it's going to show us exactly what the law says about the slaves. Shout out to my boy Claude. Mad love for you, bro. Love you, bro. Good to see you on there with us. All right, let's go here, Jay. Look at verse. Let's look at verse 1 in Exodus the 21st chapter.
Verse 1 says, now these things are judgment which thou shalt set before them.
Okay.
If you buy an Hebrew servant, 6 years he shall serve, and in the 7th he shall go out free for nothing.
Whoa. Now, hold on for a second. Now, we went back to Matthew 22, and it tells us that by following those two commandments of loving thy God with all thy heart, all thy mind, all thy soul, and loving thy neighbor thyself, he said upon those two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. What we see here in the second verse of Exodus 21, read that again for him.
If thou buy an Hebrew servant, 6 years he shall serve, and in the 7th he shall go out free for nothing.
Okay, so if these people were really following the Bible and following Christ, why didn't they let us go after 6 years? We can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It tells us plain here that they could serve for 6 years. And number one, the key word is that if you buy Hebrew, right? How many of the ships that showed up on the coasts of Africa, they bought them? They ran up into villages. They ran up into towns with the guns blazing. And they said, get in the boat or you die. I don't see anywhere in here where it said that you can go to somebody's land and take them and make them into slaves. So if they were following Christ, why didn't they follow this? Go to verse 3.
Verse 3 says, if he came in by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he were married, then his wife shall go out with him.
Okay, so that's he's saying right now, if I was purchased, right, by someone, and I'm already married, after I serve my 6 years, then me and my wife go out. So why is it back in the 1700s and 1800s that I could be married to a woman and you'll take her, I'm in North Carolina, you'll take her and send her to Missouri? Or you'll come in the middle of the night, beat me, and rape my wife. That doesn't sound like people who was following Christ, does it? Let's look at verse 4.
Verse 4 says, if his master has given him a wife, and she have borne him sons and daughters, the wife and the children shall be her master's, and he shall go out by himself.
Okay, so what he's saying here is, now, if he came in, and while in the process of him being there, he came in, then what we had to do then was, he had to leave his wife, and he had to leave